I don't know. The guy looks exhausted to me, but we'll see if we can get that sideline disposition right now. Did I eat my mints? And just caught me eating my mints. I'm having, I don't want to be rude. I always have mints before the show in case I get right in somebody's face. Like Hurley does with a referee. I wonder if he wears mints or eats mints. I'll introduce him in a second. Hey, we're loosey-goosey. It's been a hell of a week. It's Friday night, and we had more snow today. And if you're saying, Dan, you have the same shirt on you wore yesterday? Yeah, because we had a whole bunch of production stuff going on the Thursday program. We are taping this yesterday, but my guess is the weather guys were right. We did have a couple of inches of snow today to add to the joy. And of course, snow was very much part of the last and 14th win for the URI Rams, and we'll get to that and have a long conversation with a guy who's got a lot on his plate and a lot going on, Dan Hurley from URI. Here's what it looked like in the last 9 seconds on Wednesday night. Come on, get it in. Yes.
So easy.
Yeah. Something tells me, as we see it again,
Yeah.
something tells me that you weren't saying yes.
No.
You were saying something else that may not be FCC approved.
Yeah, it was something like, I can't believe this is my life and this is happening to me right now.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
You look awful.
Well, listen, well, first of all, we had a little weather this week here.
Yeah, I heard.
I know people were talking about it.
That was the rumor.
Yeah, we had a little bit of weather, and then we had to go play this game, and it was an important game for us. And the kids dealt with some incredibly difficult circumstances leading into it, and to see that kind of, to see their will being their best skill was pretty cool last night on that long bus ride back.
That's poetic, to see their will being their best skill. I think that probably has been a defining mantra for what we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what we hoped for. And we're not there yet, not all the way there yet. We'll be all the way there when our best players are juniors and seniors. When they're freshmen and sophomores, you're going to have to find a way to do it a little bit different, and it's not always going to be pretty. But boy, that's a group of hard-playing men right there.
All right, so as I indicate to you sometimes, which camera? There we are, Jess. Thank you. We're gonna leave the news of the day, the snow and everything else aside, just hang out with the coach for this afternoon. Big game coming up tomorrow night. Full disclosure, I am the public address announcer at the ball games and feel like I'm part of the team. Doesn't mean I won't have a tough question or two for the coach. He knows that. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, I support this just like we support BC. I'm PC, not BC, but PC, Bryant, Brown. I'm nothing but some old dumb jock anyway, and love not only the sport aspect of this, but what it means to the atmosphere, the state, the lifestyle, the economy, all those things. And we'll touch base with Dan on his second visit to this show. He was on with me on the radio yesterday, and we talked about some of these matters. So just setting the table in case you're wondering what the agenda is today. Might as well start from the other night and the week that it has been. I want to talk about the big picture, not necessarily X's and O's, because this is not the Dan Hurley show, X's and O's type of thing, but weather beats everybody up in every field in every way. You had a particularly difficult challenge going down to play Fordham, who you should beat, and everyone thinks you should beat because they have not won in the conference, yet you clanged it off the board with free throws. Everyone's exhausted because you had to travel same day, and these days college student athletes don't necessarily travel same day, right?
Yeah, I mean, the plan for us was to try to beat the weather, get out sometime around 1 o'clock on Monday.
That's what everybody was saying on Saturday. Yeah, we're going to beat the weather.
We're going to beat the weather,
No,
but
the
it's
weather
hard.
beat you.
Mother Nature and Father Time are undefeated. So Monday we tried to get out 1 o'clock-ish, but there wasn't a bus company that would drive us into the storm because the storm hit in New York. So we had an abbreviated practice because the university closed. And then the next day, obviously on Tuesday, we couldn't do anything because everyone was snowed in. And then we had a 6 a.m. bus on Wednesday, which got us to Fordham in time to do some light shooting and to go over our game plan a little bit. But we had no chance to follow a routine that these kids are comfortable with, the coaches are comfortable with. So it was all, we knew all day long it was going to be about just trying to gut one out, just a blood and guts type of win, and it wasn't going to be pretty.
Yeah.
And to sit there and know that's coming, it's made for a long, long several hours waiting for tip.
You know it's coming.
You know, and you know, and you fair with your players because you understand, you know, that they've got to go through their process.
Do you tell them that you know it's coming? No.
No.
You can't tell them you know this is going to be a nightmare.
No, you lie to them. I mean, you lie to them the whole year. You create stories, you know, fictional quotes from the other coach, from the other players, you know, slights, you know, all types of slights, whether imagined or real. You know, you're always trying to create that next thing to drive and to push their effort and their energy and their commitment.
Not to get into all the nitty-gritties, but for URI basketball fans, I'm sure they'd get this, to have Gil Baruta. And don't call him Gil, because he writes a blog and he gets mad at the PA announcer if you call him Gil. Here I was just trying to be friendly. Gil Vitas, formerly. You call him Gil. You're allowed.
I'm allowed.
Well, and Gil Vitas Baruta gets the final tip and wins the ball game. He might be one of the hardest working guys I've seen in college basketball, but he hasn't always had a chance, A, to be on a winning program, and B, even this year, he's here one day and he's not here the next. So good for him, right?
Yeah, it was great for him. For a senior, you know, for guys that haven't experienced.
And he's such a nice kid, isn't he?
And he hasn't experienced a lot of winning in college. He started off at Rutgers. That whole situation, you know, happened to him there. Obviously transferred here, you know, kind of in the middle of our rebuild. You know, where last year, you know, we improved, but it wasn't a great experience for an upperclassman. So now he's on a 13-5 team that needed to win that game yesterday. I mean, we needed to win, and to have him have that moment, a guy that deserves to have more experiences like this, it was cool stuff.
All right, we'll come back. We'll talk about the need to win, where they are right now, where this program is heading, and what your role in all this can be. Stay with us.
As Bill Reynolds said, my colleague, they're right on schedule. 12-5, 4-2 in the A-10. Some great young talent. You look at their lineup last night. It's 4 underclassmen and Gil Vitas Baruta, an outgoing senior. And I really like the identity that they've developed, particularly on the defensive end. It's a hard-working group.
Yeah, that's Bill Koch from the Providence Journal, who now is the beat writer for URI basketball. Bill was on with me last week, and we were talking about Deflategate and URI and PC, and you know, he had a lot of nice things to say about you. Interesting relationship always with the beat writer for the major newspaper and the coach. It's cordial, but it's got to be arm's length. He's got to be able to whack you. Right now, there's not a lot of things to whack you over. But the general consensus amongst the sports press around here is that you are on schedule for all of the high drama of your hire, you know, a few years ago.
Yeah.
You concur?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's exciting where we're at, you know, and it hasn't been easy. You know, this was a heavy lift, but now I think it's, after all that heavy lifting, getting the right people in place, having the right staff, you know, improving the facilities, getting the right players, you know, which is more important than the right head coach or any facility. You know, it's this group of, you know, this core 4 of 2 sophomores and 2 freshmen. You know, they're going to get us back to those great years that all the fans are always talking about in the 80s and the 90s and the Kansas game and all the things that excite
You sound exhausted by that a little bit.
It's not easy to do this.
I mean, all the fans are always talking about. You feel, well, first of all, no one's going to cry a river for you. You're well compensated versus the average everyman for your job. So let's not kid ourselves. Yet, in the context of what you do and in your profession, it seems to me that you have felt kind of a interesting burden, and that is you need more folks to come out, you need them to buy into what you're doing, and you'd like to have them not forget, but put aside all these memories of yesteryear, right?
That's right. I mean, at least temporarily.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, 100%. You know, because the fans, they have such a huge impact. You know, and fan base is, you know, one of the top 3 things that you're looking for: recruiting base, you know, facilities, you know, and then fan base are things as a prospective head coaching candidate that you're looking at that are critically important. Yeah, and we need their support, and we need them to understand what's going on right now. You know, that it's not the finished product. We're almost there. You know, we're probably a class away from potentially being an NCAA tournament program every single year. But we need their support. We need their energy, for those 16 or 17 times we play at the Ryan
You
Center.
put a numerical value on a large crowd, don't you?
Yeah, it's definitely it's a number. Whether it's 6 points, 7, 8 points, sometimes more than that. We weren't ready to beat Nebraska when we played Nebraska. We had babies running around out on that court against a team that still felt like they were a top 20 team.
What did you do? Take the guts out of Nebraska? I mean, they were like this big touted team. You beat them, and they fell into the wilderness, which doesn't help your computation RPI to go to the big show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to them? They were supposed to keep winning.
Yeah, no.
Right?
We caught them early in the year, and a loss early in the year
Hurts.
Like that hurts, Any loss, that's why the lives of coaches. That's why we look like this, because we understand not just the impact of one game, one bad outcome, but just one bad possession during a game can change a game, and that's coaching is that's what makes coaching so stressful.
So, I think your tone changed at the end of last year in this sales message to the fans. You started to ease up a little bit. You look like you were a little PO'd year one and beginning of year two. Buildings, 2/3 empty, a half empty, blah, blah, blah. Then you started to almost understand it, and now I think you've got a little bit of a symbiotic relationship with the concept of how to get them in there. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Have you grown in the job here?
Yeah, I got over a lot of things.
Like what?
Got over the fact that that there were players that we thought we were going to have that were really good players that were no longer at the university. You're dealing with the daily APR situation, which
That's the grades.
Yeah, which grades, which affects who you can give scholarships to, what type of talent you can chase early on to try to change things. And
Were you moping?
I think I was probably had some bad days, and I had some bad interactions.
Are you
An emotional guy?
yeah?
No,
The,
not me.
no, but what's interesting about you? First of all, what people may not know is you're very quiet and humble outside the terror that is the 90 feet and 94 feet on the court. I've come to know that, and you've got a big heart, and you're actually a pretty normal guy. But you're also a little self-deprecating, and in fact, a little glass half empty in your disposition, aren't you? You're a little
I think so. I think
negative. Just kind of like, prove it to me that it's not bad type of thing, guy.
Yeah, I think for me,
Is it because your dad was so tough on you?
yeah. I mean, listen, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. My dad would be playing bad public schools, coaching the #1 high school team in the country, and he would have himself convinced that he was going to lose by 25 points in games and he would win by 80. So you could start there, and I find myself kind of from that, I guess, that Bill Parcells school of coaching, where I keep everyone around me, staff, players, so on edge before every game that we've been able to avoid those really bad losses because and we've lost to some good teams. We haven't quite been able to get over the hump, but in my career I've been able to avoid those real bad ones because I'm an edgy dude, man. Edgy dude.
Not unhappy.
Not unhappy. I love coaching. I love my job. I love coaching here. I love the kids I'm going to get to coach the next couple of years. I love what we're building. I love the response that I get from our fans. And what winning does for you is it makes everything bigger and better. You just keep piling up wins and everything just gets bigger and better.
All right. Fan support, really important for this Saturday. And you know what? That's tomorrow night, by the way. It's tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. Ryan Center, GoRody.com, 401-874-RAMS. I don't think, do not underestimate that George Washington is going to be the test of the year. We'll talk about that and a couple other things when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back in. You know this guy, unusually calm. Well, listen, I mean, there were days in my radio career where I ran a radio show like he runs a basketball game.
Takes a lot out of you, right?
You know what? I'm about 10 years older than you are, and I can promise you, you're going to hit a wall here, buddy. At some juncture, you're going to look back. A lot of fans will think, hopefully still at URI. We don't have to get into that crazy business. But you'll look back at some of this stuff, and you'll think, You don't have that energy anymore.
That's why I have a cap on when I'm done. I'm not doing this till I'm 75.
What's the cap?
58.
That's the number?
Yeah.
Really?
58.
Have you ever said that publicly before?
I say it a lot after losses.
I don't think I've ever
Me and
heard
my
that.
wife, no.
All right. Well, we just broke a news story.
58.
You're done at 58.
Yeah.
Liar.
No, I've been in. I've been I've been involved in this game since I was a child. There's been no other.
Yeah, you're running a national program that's now touted as preseason number 1, 2, or 3, and you're 58 years old, and you're going to walk away. Yeah. Okay. We'll bet a couple
We'll
beers on
revisit
that
it.
one.
We will.
All right?
Yeah.
But well, hey, listen. I'm in no position to judge your life game plan. That's interesting. But that's the way you feel because you're thinking there's just so much you've got in your tank.
I'm all in. You know, there's not an aspect of anything that we do that I don't have my fingerprints on.
Do you know who the happiest people in the world are going to be to hear that there is a due date for you to get out of this business?
The AD at my school.
No.
My wife.
No. They wear stripes.
The zebras. Yeah. You want to talk about those guys for a minute?
Sure.
Hey, listen.
What's going on, man?
Hey, listen. All you're looking for on a game-in, game-out basis is a couple things. Number one, you're looking for, guys that from the handshake line to when the game starts, that are willing to come in and not big-time you, but communicate to you like they would with Coach K if they had him the night before, or Tom Izzo if they have him the night after. And I don't think that that's an unfair demand. And then the other thing is consistency, and to be treated, with a little bit more respect. We weren't very good the last couple of years.
Right,
we
so
didn't get a lot of respect. We're better.
Let me see if I can translate for those of you who don't get the subtleties of what he's saying. You're suggesting that marquee coaches earn a certain degree of respect from officials, and their game's got to be there. You are not, even though you got a big name, a Hall of Fame last name. Your program is on the up. You're not necessarily that marquee yet. They may say, you know what, I'm exhausted from being on my best performance and comportment with those two big-time guys, or this one, and that one. I'm not taking any crap from Hurley. Besides, he's a wise guy, and he starts right at the beginning, so I'm going to shut him down at the tip. That's what you're telling me, right? That's what you're telling me you deal with.
I think you explained it really, really well. And listen, I think some of my.
So why don't you lay off?
Well,
So you decide at the beginning you're going to let them know. Guess what? It's game time.
Yeah, I'm going to fight, and I want to be held to the same standards because we've all got to be professionals. I watch a lot of coaches. When I watch college basketball for my own enjoyment that have a pretty animated routine that aren't labeled. And part of my labeling too is I'm an intense guy. A lot of my, I guess, the dramatic behavior or intense behavior oftentimes is directed at my players.
Right.
And sometimes it gets mistaken, a stomp of a foot,
being as close,
yell.
Being as close to the game as I am at the microphone at home, at least, I see that. And I see officials think that you're giving it to them when you're actually giving it to your own guys.
And I would say 80% of the time, it's directed at my guys.
Yeah, but you certainly have perfected getting the message and pulling it back. It's kind of like a thing. You worry about little kids, young kids, and respect for officiating with the way sometimes you do comport yourself on the court.
Well, I think my players handle themselves incredibly well.
They do.
With the referees, respectfully. It's part of our job description. It's part of what we do as coaches is you've got to learn how to work the refs.
So,
and if the laughing, joking, patting on the back isn't working, it's just like anything else. You're going to try something else.
But you're a professional at it, and too many amateur coaches from the CYO on up try to be Dan Hurley on the floor, and they probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, what we're doing, we're at a very, very high level in terms of stress. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake for the university. There's a lot at stake for the coaches, the staffs, the players, the administration. I mean, our wins and losses affect a lot of people, and so our behavior sometimes reflects that.
Right. This could be a season not only on schedule but ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
So what do you do, tempering your expectations?
Well, that's hard to do because we're all excited right now. We love this team. We love this team because of the results they've gotten.
Well, here's the results. I mean, so far, take a look at the standings right now. If you can read that, folks. To see Rhode Island that far up in the A10 at this time of the season, 6-2, and if you notice, the team in front of them, or tied with them, is George Washington, the opponent at 4 o'clock tomorrow night. Of course, my alma mater is half a game ahead, and after last night, who knows what the story is. But nice to see you in that tier.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now, this thing is game on. So that old adage, that cliche of one game at a time, really sticks, doesn't it? You gotta hold it down.
Yeah, you do. In a league like this, too, because we're still fragile. We've changed so many things, but we're still a fragile young group, and it's just about focusing on this one opportunity, and it's a beautiful opportunity for our program. One that you only get a couple times a year, and we all understand that, and we just want to have such an energized environment.
Look in that camera and tell people why they should come out tomorrow and for the rest of the home season.
Yeah, you got to come out. I mean, this group, this program with where it's headed, and this group of players, with what they're willing to give you, just for you to show up on Saturday, they'll make it worth your trip with the passion, the heart, the determination they're going to play with, and once you see all these freshmen and sophomores and what they're capable of, you'll get your season tickets.
Get some sleep.
You got it.
All right, brother.
Thanks.
One more thought. We come back. Stay with us. By the way, for those of you who are thinking, what about PC, Dan? I mean, I'm all about PC and Cooley. And Cooley and I have had a conversation, Coach Cooley, Ed Cooley, and I've had a conversation about him coming to the show. Nudge him a little bit. Schedules are busy, but we'd love to have the same kind of long-form conversation with the head coach of PC, who is one heck of a story in and of itself and himself. So, go PC, go URI, but really, a filled Ryan Center tomorrow could really turn this thing around. It's going in the right direction anyway. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.